Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be shedding light on how to overcome wage slavery. So how do you surmount wage slavery? How do you pull yourself out of the muck and mire? How do you overcome this seemingly insurmountable challenge of never having to further brook living a life fraught with wage slavery? How do you escape this inextricable predicament of living a life entrapped in wage slavery? Well, before I demystify that answer to that inquiry, I just want to trace back the cause of wage slavery. Let me explicate what caused wage slavery. What precipitated wage slavery? What was the catalyst for living a life fraught with wage slavery, extreme poverty, indigence, and destitution? Well, it all starts during your childhood years, unfortunately. Much to my chagrin, much to my consternation, much to my agony, much to my distress, much to my grief, much to my dismay, against their own volition, against their own accord, against their own free will, under duress, children from a young age are corralled. They're thrusted into the K through 12, 13-year insalubrious compulsory indoctrination camps, which some people refer to as a 13-year prison, while other people refer to as a 13-year concentration camp. Irrespective of what you call it, is an involuntary institution that should not exist. The mandate to attend the 13-year insalubrious K through 12 compulsory indoctrination camp should be abolished immediately. It's completely inhumane, unjust, unvindicated, and unwarranted, as well as immoral. Now, what are the ramifications appertaining to attending this 13-year insalubrious K through 12 compulsory indoctrination camp? Well, when you graduate from it, not only did you needlessly fritter away 37,440 plus hours of your sacrosanct, indispensable, precious, finite, invaluable time against your own volition, but you receive absolutely nothing for your hard work and efforts. There's no remuneration, there's no compensation, there's no benefits, there's no pension, there's no stipend, there's no grant, and there's no universal basic income conferred to you. You receive nothing. But what you will succumb to, however, is something that is deleterious and detrimental to your overall health and well-being. So what transpires from attending the K through 12 insalubrious 13-year compulsory indoctrination camps? Well, not only do you succumb to chronic burnout, as well as stunted growth physically, mentally, and spiritually, but you also succumb to depression, agony, distress, telomere shortening, accelerated singular aging, and it sets you up for living a life fraught with extreme poverty. On the other hand, if we lived in a free market economy, if we were able to be pioneers of our own future from a young age, if we were able to control our destiny, if we had purview, if we had jurisdiction over how our sacrosanct, indispensable, finite, non-replenishable time was earmarked, then we could have prosperous, robust, abundant, auspicious futures as adults instead of inauspicious futures fraught with extreme poverty and wage slavery. The crux of the issue is that by being mandated to attend this K through 12 13-year insalubrious indoctrination camp, you're forgoing the lucrative opportunity to cultivate lucrative brands. You're forgoing the opportunity to create income generating assets. You need your income to be an autopilot. You need to have the latent potential to generate revenue in perpetuity, and selling your finite, sacrosanct, indispensable, non-replenishable, precious, invaluable time for a pittance of a non-subsistence wage is an inefficacious way to generate revenue. You want to be able to ideally generate revenue 24/7 from your brand content and brand products. If your brand content is consumed, then it can possibly generate revenue. If your brand products are procured, then they can possibly generate revenue. And the only way to escape wage slavery is to generate enough income from your generated assets as an aggregate to offset your reoccurring expenses. It's a simple numbers game, but reaching that pinnacle, reaching that threshold, reaching that zenith is incredibly arduous, to say the least. How so, you may ask? Well, it takes years to foster lucrative brands. It takes a substantial amount of time to create income-generating assets. What are income-generating assets, you may ask? Well, income-generating assets that you create encompass videos, podcasts, blogs, online courses, ebooks, audiobooks, articles, mobile games, mobile applications, as well as songs. Now, if any of your income-generating assets go viral and build traction, it can be life-altering. And the only way to overcome wage slavery is to have these income-generating assets as an aggregate completely defray your reoccurring expenses. And that will liberate your time. But the reason why people are entrapped in wage slavery extends beyond the ambit of the aforementioned. Employers and employees have diametrically opposed needs. Most companies want to pay their employees the bare minimum amount and still reap the maximum amount of productivity out of them, whereas employees want to avail themselves of the highest possible wage or highest possible salary for their hard work and efforts. You have to meticulously understand what is transpiring here so that you do not have a false sense of security while being a wage slave, because there's no future in it. You've reached an impasse. You're in a rut. It's a dead end. How so, you may ask? Well, employers view their employees as exploitable, expendable capital livestock that are metaphorically harvested for profiteering purposes. And their overarching goal is to maximize their profits and their shareholders' wealth, and not the employees' well-being. On the other hand, you need income for everything, and these dispiriting, harrowing, agonizing, debilitating, wretched, unfulfilling minimum wage jobs don't provide you with anything close to a subsistence wage, even for affording to rent a room. It's quite a shame and quite a pity, but it is what it is. So this harkens back to my point earlier, and it undergirds and corroborates my point from earlier that you can never rely on an employer to pay your bills, because they won't. They do not care how chronically burned out you are, how chronically fatigued you are, how chronically stressed out you are, whether or not you're ailing. Their only concern is to maximize their profits and maximize the wealth of their shareholders and not your well-being. So overcoming wage slavery entails working strategically hard, ceaselessly, unremittingly, 7 days a week. And beyond that, you need to be willing to create novel, share-worthy, recommendation-worthy, meritorious, like-worthy, comment-worthy, algorithm, recommendation-worthy content. And you should compete in niche markets. So for instance, if you're keen on creating videos, it may behoove you to not be another Let's Player, because that market is hyper competitive and overly saturated. So you need to be strategical about how you earmark your sacrosanct time. I understand if you need to work a dead-end, dispiriting, harrowing, unfulfilling minimum wage job just so that you have some food, so you do not succumb to becoming evicted from this simulated reality due to starvation. However, during your spare time, it needs to be earmarked into strategically working hard on cultivating lucrative brands, and your time needs to be allocated into creating income generating assets that will resonate with your target market, that will be able to generate you revenue in the pending future, and that have the latent potential to become viral income generating assets. So create algorithm recommendation worthy income generating assets, compete in niche content genres, create unique, novel, meritorious brand products. Do not be a copycat brand. It's instrumental that you take heed of doing what's necessary so that you can move to the next phase in your life. You do not want to be stymied. You do not want to further stagnate any longer than you absolutely have to. This impasse, this seemingly insurmountable obstacle of being entrapped in a life fraught with wage slavery, extreme poverty, indigence, and destitution can be overcome. You can rise up to the challenge and surmount it. You have the latent potential to. So, triple down on your strengths. Strategically plan ahead. And get to work. You can produce videos, podcasts, blogs, articles, online courses, ebooks, audiobooks, mobile applications, mobile games, songs, and even can create your own music videos. And hopefully your income generating assets as an aggregate will be able to offset your reoccurring expenses, and that will allow you to liberate your time and be able to compound your wealth. And if you truly want to have a prosperous future, then you can invest the income that you generate from your income generating assets as an aggregate into buying income generating assets, such as stocks with high dividend yields, mutual funds, index funds, bonds, annuities, rental properties. You really want to be able to compound your wealth and forge a prosperous, robust, abundant, auspicious future for yourself. You want to be able to discharge your debts and never have to concede to living a life fraught with wage slavery ever again. So you can pull yourself out of the muck and mire. There's no reason why you can't do it if you're willing to strategically work hard. It may take you tens of thousands of hours of strategic hard work, but the sacrifice will be warranted because the ramifications, the repercussions of not doing so, at best, leave you entrapped in a life fraught with chronic wage slavery. Because your employer will never bail you out. They'll never provide you with a pension. They'll never provide you with a subsistence wage. They'll never provide you with a livable wage. They'll never provide you with decent benefits. And even if you can temporarily attain a higher wage, you could get laid off, you could get furloughed, you could get terminated at any given moment. I mean, what if you're sick and can't work? What if the company becomes defunct due to the incompetence of upper level management? So you can't rely on an employer. So do your utmost best to pull yourself out of the muck and mire. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. Find a niche content category and produce content and products so that you can draw forth a prosperous future and never have to acquiesce to living a life fraught with wage slavery ever again. You need income perpetually coming in to offset your reoccurring expenses. It's as simple as that. And do not perpetually squander your sacrosanct, indispensable, finite, non-replenishable time for a pittance of a non-subsistence wage. Allow your intellectual properties to pull you out of poverty and allow you to escape living a life fraught with wage slavery. You need to appease your target market and at the end of the day appeal to your customers, because they'll determine whether or not your content gets consumed and whether or not your brand products get procured. I hope that you found this video to be insightful and enthralling. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.